kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just remember. Just remember. Just remember. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just remember. Just remember. Just remember. Just remember.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to Homestead-Miami Speedway. We are live here for the Dynasty Racing League Championship round. It's the finale here at the High Banks in South Florida. Although the championship has been decided, it was indeed decided last week after we went off the air. The math was done, and we can confirm that Mr. Thomas Harmon is your champion for the 10th anniversary of the Dynasty Racing League. But we've got a qualifying session and another 200-miler ahead of us here, and I'm getting way too ahead of myself. I'm Liam Irving, joined up in the booth by Matt Metler. Matt, how you doing tonight?
You know, I think you said it best in the, when we were talking. Bittersweet tonight. You know, when this series came to SRM, there were so many unknowns. What's the racing product going to be like? How are the relationships going to work? Are we going to have clash? Is everyone going to get along? All those unknowns, and we could not have asked for a better outfit, a better league to come into SRM and take over prime time on Saturday nights. These guys have been absolutely electric. Week in, week out, all the green flag runs, all the drama, all the action. I mean, from Thomas the Hammer and everyone on down, JP O'Leary, the Drift King, Matt Sizzler and company. We couldn't have been blessed with a better league to fall into our lap, literally. And we're so thankful we're going to have him back for season number 2, but we still got to do it one more time here from South Florida here tonight. So everyone strap in, go for the ride one more time. as these boys now invade the dirty South right here in Florida.
Yeah, Matt, and we're watching JP right now. He sits second on the board. 5 guys have put down a qualifying time. So we'll go ahead and get you guys the block scroll across the top. Top 4, Harmon, Pandolf, O'Leary. Rorby jumps up into third there with a quick lap. But yeah, I mean, to kind of keep going with what you were saying, it is bittersweet. I mean, it is incredible to see what these guys have been able to throw together all season. And, you know, Thomas Harmon obviously has thrown together an amazing season. Austin Collins, he couldn't make the race tonight, but he had an incredible season up there as well. It's really been awesome to watch these guys get it done. We've got Harrison Chandler getting out on the racetrack, making his, I believe, his series or season debut here in the finale. Had some other things going on Saturday night, but moving forward, like Matt said, we're going to bring these guys on for our second season with them. It'll be their 11th season, I believe. And you guys will have the opportunity to race with them as well. So you know, go ahead and look into the Dynasty Racing League on iRacing if you'd like to race with these guys. Looking at an ARCA series maybe Friday, and getting back to the Gen 4s on Saturday potentially for next season. But there's still a lot of moving parts there, so we'll definitely keep you posted on that as we learn more about that on our Sim Racing Media Facebook page. Right now we're watching Harrison Chandler complete his first qualifying lap. Let's see where he jumps up to 7th.
Yeah, coming in there at a 33-34. Harrison Chandler in the 4 car. I think you are correct. He is indeed making his very first start here this season. On how ironic, on the final stop of the schedule tonight. Hey, you know what? Better sooner than later. Harrison Chandler, going to look forward to watching him out there in competition this evening.
Yes, sir. It's going to be a blast to see what Harrison can throw together, and he threw together a blazing lap there. Goes to second on the board with a 33.02, just a hair quicker than the 33.04 JP put up. But with him completing his lap, that's going to be the last of our qualifiers here, which means that we can bring in our pole sitter, none other than our champion, Thomas Harmon. Thomas, Matt and Liam up in the booth. How you doing? I bring him to the wrong one. Hey, Thomas, it's Liam and Matt up in the booth. You got a copy? He might not be in at the moment. We'll go ahead and try to get back with him in a little bit here. Qualifying just finishes up.
Yeah, something tells me Thomas is, he's in it right now. He's focused, getting prep with his team one final time here tonight, but we'll definitely do everything we can to get back with your pole sitter this evening momentarily. This racetrack right here puts on some great, epic performances, side-by-side battles in this Gen 4 car. Turns 1 and 2, they do not like to be associated with turns 3 and 4. They're quite different around here on this racing surface. You really have to respect the top side, especially coming out of the 3 and 4 towers here, coming on the start-finish line. This track can get slick. These race cars, plenty of horsepower. We know you have to respect it. But Liam, these guys do such a great job of taking all that raw energy and power and keeping it virtually pure on the racetrack, as we've seen only at times averaging 1.5 to 1.7 cautions per race. That is just absurd. You never see that.
Well, I mean, last week we had, 3 of them, and those were our first cautions in a month almost. These guys are incredibly clean, and we even talked a little bit about it before this show got started. And you ran with them at Indianapolis, so you got a first-hand experience of just how great these drivers are. And you talked with us a little bit before we got started here about how much you were able to learn from racing around these guys, how much advice they were willing to give you to help you get through the corners and just to be quicker. These guys are a really for lack of a better term, they're a nurturing group. You know, they're trying to help everybody be fast. They're trying to make everybody quicker and improve the competition all around. So it's really awesome to see. And we'll go ahead and try to get Thomas back in here for a quick interview for our pole sitter. Matt, we'll see if you got him.
Hey, hammer time. Matt and Liam up in the booth. You got us, bud.
Yeah, I got you.
There he is. Thomas, get the pole again here this evening. Great to have you back up, starting on the front row here once again. One final ride here in this season tonight. Congratulations on the championship. I know that means a lot to you, especially all the things you've had going on in your personal life over the past month and a half or so. What do you have for us here tonight? What can we expect from you, sir?
Well, last shot to take the record from Wade before the season closes. So I'm going to do what I can to secure that. And hopefully I can just walk away from everybody and make it as boring as I possibly can for you.
That is not one thing you do well. You make it just the opposite. You make it absolutely electrifying for us. I wasn't going to bring up the record. I didn't want to jinx you, but since you mentioned it, fairly confident that 68 car's back in form. If you're anything like you were last week, sir, this field's in trouble. Congratulations. Go out there and get it done one more time.
So I had to send him out there quick as we come to the start of the show. The pace car makes that hard left turn, and we've got 200 more miles to get the job done this season. Thomas Harmon leads him down. Harrison Chandler on his outside. Chandler with a strong start actually gets the nose out in front. JP in third place. About a car length behind these guys. A very uniform, very clean start here at Homestead-Miami. You can see these guys already fanning out, using up a lot of the racetracks. Side by side is going to be a lot tonight with the progressive banking that you have here at Homestead. But diving it down into turns 3 and 4, they are side by side for second. And Thomas Harmon, he's trying to do what he said and make it boring for us. He's not doing a great job of that right now. He's out front right now, but these guys are all over him. Here comes JP with the big send to the bottom.
Beef, it's what's for dinner. It's JP, winner, beef cow dinner tonight in Miami. We're going to have to find out, but that is probably the boldest move I've seen out of that 74 all year. Just going up there and spanking the dog and going up there and taking the lead from Cartoon Network and Company. Impressive start from JP. The 74 leading this thing, I don't know. I think that's the best move I've seen out of that 74 car all year. Something tells me he's saving the best for last.
Yeah, we talked with him a little bit before the race as well. He's trying to finish out this season with the victory. Thomas Harmon looks down to his inside. We're riding on board here just above the bumper. You can see that bumper cover bouncing a little bit on the bottom of the screen. Thomas Harmon, though, all over the line of 74, James Pandolf. He's trying to figure out just where to run. A little bit loose there out of the 74. Harmon was all over the back bumper just a couple of quarters ago, but look back a little bit. We've got PJ O'Leary rocking the 2005 29 Kevin Harvick car, 2006 as well, I believe. Rocking that older era Kevin Harvick car. Taylor Butcher Benjamin slides up the track a little bit loose. Doesn't quite have Brorby cleared. Stays low coming up off of turn number 2.
You know, speaking of loose, no one does the Gen 4 dance like these boys. I mean, we've seen it last week. We're going to see it again here tonight. We've seen it right there. Already, the back of that race car starting to get a little dancey there coming off the corners. You see Broby in the 45 looks to dive down below the 8 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Maybe send it in on the bottom and make it stick, but that Budweiser 8 car, another very strong contender in the series as they're side-by-side drag racing down the backstretch.
Riding on board at the right front here. You can see that side draft work, that attempt. Maybe Taylor got up into the wall there a little bit on the entry. Doesn't look like it. Brorby working the inside. Look at just how close these guys are getting coming up off of the corner. Not as much side draft this time coming up off of 4. That's going to allow Taylor Butcher Benjamin to get clear and now move down to the bottom side to start following and potentially attacking PJ O'Leary. Meanwhile, Matt Sisler rocking a brand new paint scheme this week. He's racing for 5th in the points. So, I got flustered there. Yeah, he's racing for 5th in the point standings.
I'm loving the paint scheme on that race car. Very Matt Sizzler-esque. Sizzle time is back tonight. We missed him. Great to have Matt back out on the racetrack. And the colors are fitting for this area of the United States. Trust me when I say that, folks. You can see him there working the bottom, really committed to try and get that car to work down there in that low groove, over the course of this tire run. As he sits there in 7th place right now, Matt Sizzler, another one of those guys that likes to progressively and methodically work his way up through the field late. Having a solid run right now. They're in 7th, working just off the back of the 45 of Brandon Roby.
Now we talk about Matt Sizzler, somebody who likes to methodically work his way through the field. Somebody who's working the wrong way right now is Harrison Chandler. He started in 2nd place. He's fallen back to 5th, and now he's under attack from Brandon Brubby coming up off of turn number 2. Brubby with a huge run. Not going to have enough to get next to him coming into turn 3. Actually, yes, he is. He's going to dive it down all the way on the bottom. That's one of my favorite things about this racetrack is that you can run anywhere, and the runs that you can get on corner entry versus corner exit are completely different based on what line you run. I mean, if you're going to try the top side, generally you're going to want to let off earlier, get your corner set up, and spend as much time on exit on the throttle as you can, whereas when you get in on the bottom, you want to dive it in deep, you spend a lot of time off throttle throughout the middle, then you try to get it pointed up with the throttle coming out of the corner. That outside lane's going to get you big runs coming up off, but the inside, we definitely saw from the 45, huge benefit on corner entry.
Yeah, and there's a big benefit right there, and you're right. The 45 is really exposing the system there, and how big of an advantage you can get on corner entry as he's really rocking the bottom middle there really, really well. As he takes it now up to the top shelf a little bit, just as we're talking about, going to maybe change up his attack on the 8 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, especially with this aero package in this race car. We're going to say it one more time. Catching them is one thing, passing them is another. Probably figured, hey, I might want to see how this car drives, a little further north on the racetrack, because TBB usually isn't the easiest guy to get around here. As he's working now just in front of Brandon Brobie, about 2/10 ahead.
And one thing that I want to bring up here, Matt, is that we noticed the 45, he's rocking a little bit higher of the lane that time around. He's stuck behind TBB and BJ O'Leary. His TBB now makes the move, trying to go in for 3rd place. Dives it down on the bottom. He's going to have that pass completed early. BJ follows him back down, potentially a little crossover move here. But Brandon Brarbee is the only one working that other lane up there. And I got to wonder, with only 9 cars on the track and only 1 driver working in that top lane, is that going to tear up the tires quicker than these guys who are running in the same lane where it's already been rubbered in here on the bottom?
I'm going to say, due to the number of cars on the racetrack and the offset, I'm going to say yes. I think that top lane is going to do a little more punishment, especially with the high horsepower and torque numbers we're dealing with in this Gen 4 race car. However, earlier on in the broadcast, you mentioned the advantages, disadvantages. You run the top, you're going to give up a little bit on entry. But when you want to talk about maximizing corner off, you're going to take full advantage of all that horsepower and all that torque and really carry that momentum down these straightaways. Brandon Brobie may be onto something here, or setting himself up for success late in this race, as he's looking really pretty spicy out there right now. In fact, running down the 29 of BJ O'Leary. He is literally right there. Is he going to keep it to the top side of the racetrack? See if he can just, like, as you said, take all that momentum. He's going to get cornered off here and just slingshot him here, going down the front straightaway here as he goes across the start-finish line. Not quite enough, but only 14 laps in the books, and we know these guys don't quit. He'll have it figured out sooner than later.
Let's jump in on the YouTube chat. Will Hooper says W scheme for Sizzler, and I have to agree, it is a great looking paint job on that number 93. Got a good look at it earlier, and we will definitely be looking at it again. But what we have to look at right now is this race for the lead. JP is under fire now from Thomas Harmon, one of the masters of tire saving throughout the course of these longer runs. Thomas Harmon is caught up and now putting a bead on the back bumper of the 74 here. Was almost half a second behind, but now here comes Harmon down on the inside. huge run throughout the middle. I know I said these guys were going to have a lot of off-throttle time throughout the middle of the corner on the bottom, but it didn't look like Thomas Harmon had much there. He is absolutely flying on the bottom side right now. JP gets right up next to the wall, almost kisses it. There might have been a slight touch there, but he's going to get into the loose stuff coming up off of turn number 4 where it widens out. Thomas Harmon, your new race leader.
Yeah, back to the front, the hammer, Thomas, and we both knew, and you guys watching at home, how many times have we seen this season Thomas Harmon basically start, the 2 counties over. I mean, it almost seems at times he could start this race, have no tires on his race car, and him not even remotely close to it, and somehow, some way, he's always up there near the end just because he is so bad fast over the course of these runs. But I like that move JP had there off the start. Sometimes if you want to beat the guy, you have to get out there and pass him on the racetrack first. You got to build that confidence, and that's what I love, that bold statement from JP here in the opening laps of the race. We haven't seen that from him all season long. Maybe that's the catalyst he needs to go up there and contend with the 68 here. One more time here from Miami as they still run 1-2. They swap the spots back. Thomas the Harmon started on the pole, continues to carry the torch. JP in second. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, your biggest mover of the race, as he rounds out your top 3 as they run right now.
Something that you notice here is we ride on board with JP. He's a little touch to the wall, trying to get as much racetrack as he can. That turn 4 complex, when it comes out of the corner, it widens out a little bit. It's almost like the track gives you an extra 5 or so feet with the way that the wall is. It's definitely interesting to see these guys try to use that, and especially with this higher horsepower, you couldn't really use it to much advantage in the ARCA car. But in this car, as these guys get later on in the tire run, I'd expect to see him getting right up next to the wall on corner exit coming up off of turn number 4 and using that little bit of extra racetrack that the track gives you.
And now here's the other part of that. If you want to use that extra real estate in the 3-4 complex, you have to remember there is that giant slick spot. If you're running that top groove, as you transition from 3 to 4, it's almost like the car loses all grip and just plows up the racetrack and jumps up a half a groove. So if you want to run up there, you have to respect that section of the racetrack and make sure you don't fall asleep on it, because how many times have we seen drivers get in trouble late when they forget to respect that area of the racetrack when they're ripping the top late?
Yeah, I mean, the racetrack gives and the racetrack takes. It's a fine line, You want to get right up next to that wall, and we've seen JP up front in that 74 scrape the wall a couple times at corner entry, just trying to utilize all of the racetrack that he can. The racetrack give it, and the racetrack take it.
Well said. I couldn't agree more with your statement there. Absolutely spot on, as always. Is now Thomas the Hammer, Taylor Butcher Benjamin TBB in the 8 car. Looking now to see if he
JP in the wall.
Just as you said, getting close to the wall, sometimes you pay for it. JP just lost the code of
sideways.
Oh,
Around
no!
goes JP down the back straightaway. Huge contact with Harrison Chandler. JP upside down.
And JP goes out in a blaze of glory here at Homestead.
The caution.
As he was literally just leading the race moments ago.
The caution has come out.
Caution on the racetrack, and Liam, I am absolutely speechless.
Man, I am gutted for JP. We talked to him before the race, and he was really hyped up, excited about his race car. We saw him make that move for the lead, and also Harrison Chandler getting taken out. Huge front-end damage to that machine. It's going to be tough to get that thing back out on the racetrack. Not the way you want to start your season here, or finish your season if you're Harrison Chandler. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at what happened with JP. Basically, that entire lap prior, that was just a tough situation.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that bet you JP didn't expect that, and I didn't expect to see that 74 machine get that kind of air and watch him slide on his roof, go end over or roll over a couple of rolls in there. I'm surprised that 74 is still rolling around the racetrack as good as it is, because that was a violent sequence of events there as JP catches
saw Saw him up in the wall, and then as he got off, he got loose, overcorrects it, and he's going to make a huge hit to the outside wall. That's not what does most of the damage here. What's going to end up doing it is Harrison Chandler getting into the back end, trying to avoid the 74. We'll have to change camera angles there, but it launches the 74 up into the air, kind of reminiscent, I would say, of maybe Jamie McMurray's Talladega flip in practice, where he just barrel rolls, catches the inside wall, ends up back on his wheels here. And like you said, Matt, I'm amazed that he's able to drive away. You see the trunk flapping all around. That iRacing damage model looks beautiful. Not a lot of debris coming off of this car. Go ahead and take another live look at it, and then we'll get you updated on the caution flag standings. Go ahead, ride on board with the 4. You can see 74 up out of shape now, gets up into the wall, and just is committed to going to the bottom. There was nowhere he could go.
Yeah, just, you know, the nose of this race car is like the perfect javelin slash surface to air missile launcher. It's almost like when you're on an aircraft carrier using the propulsion system to take off. I mean, that all that momentum that Harrison came in there with just literally sent JP. It turned his race car into an F-14 Tomcat. I mean, he just got sent, and obviously that's a racing deal. Harrison had nowhere to go, but that's certainly one of the drawbacks to this race car. If you do find yourself in a situation where you get your face taken off by a competitor on the racetrack, you're going to be up and over. That's almost a guarantee.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Just an update on the caution flag happenings. Everybody came in to take 4 tires here after 22 laps of green flag running. James Pandolf, Harrison Chandler both have gone laps down to get repairs done. I would say they're likely both out of the race, but you never know. These guys could get the car fixed up, get it back out there for a couple more laps, but we've got a restart coming right up here, Matt.
Yeah, we certainly do have a restart coming up here, too. And I think JP is going to be able to continue to roll out there. Green flag back in the air one more time here from Miami Homestead International Raceway. You know the usual suspects up front. Thomas Harmon, PJ O'Leary, Brandon Broby is the 29 ride right on the back of Hammer Time in that 68. Man, he has made that Cartoon Network paint scheme famous this year. But PJ O'Leary, I mean, this guy continues to get better and better each week. He has been solid, consistent up there near the front. And that goes for Brandon Broby in that 45 behind the. He's currently in third place, one position behind the 29. And I want to continue to watch him to see if he stays true to the top side of the racetrack, and if that does start to play to an advantage for him later on.
I mean, just a couple of questions there, and good job, Matt. I was going to bring up the fact that he got around that 8 car on the restart, and now is putting the beat on the 29 in front of him. But how much communication between these drivers and even between teammates was happening under that caution? Maybe they talked about tire wear. I know when I'm in a race, a lot of people like to jump in with what their tire wear is and try to compare it. And so, if these guys are communicating with each other, what did Broby find out about that top side? Did he use more tire up? Did he have the same amount? He's going to have some valuable information after a 20-lap run that these guys don't usually get with how green they tend to run. Brandon Broby, I mean, a lot of these guys are going to be able to take advantage of that information, but Brandon Broby right now is going to take a run to the inside after PJ O'Leary gets loose coming out of turn number 4. Broby is, like you said, I think he's the guy to watch right now. He's worked his way up through. He started 4th, went a little bit further back, and has worked his way up past a couple of cars now. Matt Sisler up there getting up into 5th place. He's in front of Richard Springer and Drift King. Jacob Gladulich, PJ O'Leary going to give away both spots now as Taylor Butcher Benjamin gets down to the inside. He's going to take away 3rd place. PJ O'Leary back to 4th. I tell you what, Matt, that car looks loose.
It does look loose, but how many times have we seen loose also be bad fast throughout the course of the season? I'm worried, though, maybe a little too loose too early in the run, perhaps. But this track's going to go through a little bit of an evolution here too this tonight.
Oh, wow.
Right now, oh, did you see that?
Yes, I did. Matt Sisler coming up off of turn number 2, just about tank slapped the wall and had a great correction there, didn't overcorrect it, and is able to continue on. But that was a moment there out of that 93. That beautiful paint scheme getting beautifully sideways. Maybe not so beautiful if you're in the car, but I tell you what, in this perspective, it looks great.
Yeah, there's something about this race car when these drivers really start kicking in what I call the afterburner, and that back end starts to just hang out a little bit. Almost looks like some drifting out there at times on the racetrack. Nothing, you don't see that out of any other car on the circuit, I mean, on the iRacing servers, and that's something that is specific. And you have to master to be able to drive it like that in this Gen 4 car. But, we've been babied all year long. I mean, we have literally some of the best pilots in the Gen 4 class throughout iRacing competing on SRM each and every Saturday night. And it's an honor to watch these guys go out there and race this hard, this close together. I mean, it is literally almost impossible for me to even go out there and even try to run with these guys this close. And, you mentioned my Indy race. I never felt so much pressure in my life of just going out there and being able to just stay out of trouble. I didn't want to tarnish their record. Never felt pressure like that in my life, but that's what these guys do. They're that good. As we watch, Brandon Broby here in the 45 continue to close in now on the 68 of Harmon. It's really stabilized now, just at about just over a tenth of a second. The 45 may sit back there and see what he can do here with the 68. Maybe he decides to save some tire here a little bit, or does he pull the trigger here? But this is still new territory for the 45, as this is the furthest committed to the bottom he's been probably since the drop of the green flag, as he's really mirroring Harmon's lap around this 1.5 mile oval speedway.
Yeah, he is. Taylor Butcher Benjamin not too far behind them, and then PJ O'Leary just a couple of car lengths back of that. But Matt, you were talking about just how good these guys are, and you mentioned your Indy race and how much pressure you were under to try to not cause a caution, to break their clean stretch and to not ruin anybody's day. But kind of talk with us about how much they talk to you, throughout the course of the week, leading up to the race and leading, even throughout the race. How much did they help you, and what kind of learning were you able to get done?
Well, let me tell you something. Anyone that's good in any professional sport or any sport, it all starts with preparation and practice. And that's what these guys do. They had a practice race, 2 practice races earlier in the week, and I jumped in that session with them, and I'll tell you what, I was sweating, just holding onto the wheel on the grid. And you know what? These guys right here, they all came to my aid, just said, hey, Matt, look, have fun. We're here to help you. And they really started bringing me, they took me to school really quick around that speedway, because they made me feel like I was so irrelevant out there. I mean, they were kicking my tail. I was probably 5-6 seconds a lap off the pace. And, they taught me how to drive this race car one step at a time, working with the brake bias, working with the steering ratios that you have available. And they taught me just how critical and how important that throttle control is. And I'm talking the lightest inputs you can possibly think of. Even that modulation makes a big amount, it makes a big improvement on your overall lap times. And I never thought I would ever work a throttle in a race car that lightly. And, once they really taught me how to do that and just be smooth, it really came to life, and I started getting some confidence. JP really spent a lot of time working with me. Thomas Harmon did. Matt Sisler. I mean, they all came to my aid, but they certainly made me a heck of a lot better, because Lord knows without them, I probably would have been multiple laps down and probably sitting on pit road if it wasn't for all their help prepping me for that one.
Awesome insight, Matt. And for any viewers that are potentially interested in joining this league, Dynasty Racing League, this is the Pro Series. Go ahead and look them up on iRacing and apply. Just a quick couple of updates here, as I'm just amazed how Thomas Harmon is wrapping the bottom of turns 3 and 4. Harrison Chandler has gotten back out onto the racetrack. We saw him coming out of the pit lane So he is back on the racetrack. He is past JP. He is up into 8th place. And he did comment on our YouTube stream saying, well, should have went high, stayed committed, and couldn't avoid. Which is, exactly what we saw there, but still good to see Chandler back out on the racetrack, even with the damaged car, multiple laps down. Glad to see him back out on the racetrack, and he was able to gain a spot there as JP is still in the pits. He has been in there for quite some time. I'm not sure if they'll be able to get that repaired. He did have the gray and black smoke, which generally leads to an engine problem or means an engine problem, which is going to put you at about 30 minutes of repairs. So JP, still here, still in the pits.
Yeah, I know right now JP is probably really disappointed. As you mentioned, we talked to him before the race. He had high expectations for this race, really wanted to come out here.
Ooh, side by side for second here.
Yeah, did you see that? They got really close, quick, fast, and in a hurry. As Taylor Butcher Benjamin and Brandon Broby starting to heat things up once again here. The 8 working the bottom, the 45 committed to the middle, and has been known to go all the way up to the top of the fishbowl there at times.
Well, Matt, how many times have we seen this 1 and 2 combination, this 1-2 punch of Thomas Harmon and Taylor Butcher Benjamin? These guys race for the championship. Obviously, Harmon was able to come away with it. Austin Collins wasn't here, so he's not able to contend for his spot. But those 3, and these 2 especially, we see them week in and week out as Burby trying to look back to the inside potentially there on TBB. Didn't have enough space. Before we move on, though, let's see if we can't maybe speak with James Pandolf, the 74 driver, and maybe learn a little bit if they're trying to get that car repaired. Hey, James, it's Liam and Matt up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, we saw that hefty contact there. You got into the wall and then got run into by the 4 who had nowhere to go and turned you over. Is there any chance of getting that car back out onto the racetrack? We know there was some black smoke out of it, too.
Yeah, I had 8 minutes required and then 7 minutes optional, so I'm just going to take the full 15 minutes to get back out there. Not going to be able to gain many positions out of this. We generally go pretty caution-free, but might as well finish the season out under my own power, hopefully, as long as the motor can hold it for the remaining 100 or so laps.
We saw you make a really daring move for the race lead over Thomas Harmon. Kind of walk us through the speed that you had here at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, I was a little shocked by that. I came off turn 4 and had a pretty solid run by the start-finish line. I think I was at his quarter panel, so I just committed to it and was able to dive it down in there a little deeper and gave him plenty of space. He gave me plenty of space, and I was able to take the lead coming off of turn 2.
I'll tell you what, JP, I've been a little under the weather today, and when you pulled that move, that lit my wick, man. I got fired up. I was like, oh, look at this, JP. That's what I want to see, man. I love watching you just go out there and, just flex a little bit on these guys every once in a while and just assert some dominance out there. I love that move, man. I thought that was going to really help give you some positive momentum, but, sometimes higher powers that be, just things happen out there on the racetrack you can't control. But, man, that was a heck of a way to start, to open up the race. Everyone talking about Thomas Harmon, and you go up there and just, you just drive right on by him, man. That was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, definitely was feeling pretty good the opening 20 laps. I was going to be interested to see how car handled once it goes fully nighttime and went under the lights. Fortunately, I wanted to try the high line in turn 1. And I guess I misjudged it, ended up in the wall, had to downshift to 3rd to get unstuck on the wall. And then once I gassed it, it just, the back tires didn't stick and came off under me, overcorrected into the wall. And unfortunately, Harrison was there and got caught up in it. So my apologies to Harrison. Did not want to ruin his race in any way.
Well, JP,
Certainly,
we know you're just about done with that repair. So before we let you go, where can people find you guys? Where can people come and join you guys to race?
They can find us on Facebook at Dynasty Racing League. through the iRacing League directory. They can look up Dynasty Racing League, and they can also check out our website, www.dynastyracingleague.com. We got league application on the website. They can see past seasons, current seasons, everything about the league is all on the website.
Awesome stuff, JP. Well, we appreciate you joining us, and we're looking forward to seeing you get back out onto the racetrack. Happy to have you with us here for the finale here in the Dynasty Racing League. Is this the 10th season or the 10th anniversary?
10th anniversary started all the way back on Xbox. This is the 3rd season for the Pro Series. 4th season is going to begin in 2 weeks, so anyone watching that wants to join us, July 7th and 8th, I believe, will be the starting date. Hoping to have 2 series going, Friday night and, of course, Saturday night. And with you guys, the Racing Media broadcasting us, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome stuff, JP. We're happy to have you here, and exciting every time you're on the racetrack. We'll let you get back to it. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. I got about 40 seconds, and I'll be back out there.
JP, James Pandolf, our Dynasty Racing League owner, or CEO, however you want to put it.
HMFIC, as Tony Trapasso would say, or head chief bottle washer. But anyways, we know him as JP. And, just think about what he said. 10th anniversary. They started back on, he said Xbox, not 360, Xbox.
Well,
that
I think
is
2013, I think that was right before the Xbox One came out. So
that's what I was wondering.
To me, I think that would be like probably playing on Inside Line, maybe NASCAR 14 when that first came out. So these guys have been at it forever, and JP has been, holding a steady league together. Right now, Thomas Harmon is holding a steady wheel. We've been watching him just hold that bottom, and I tell you what, I am amazed at just. I talked earlier in the show about using up all of the racetrack, trying to get everything you can out of this car, and Thomas Harmon is just proving me wrong and doing the complete opposite of that. He's just ringing the bottom, using up as little racetrack as possible, going the shortest distance, and somehow doing the least amount of damage to his tires. He's got about 3/4 second over Taylor Butcher Benjamin in second right now, and these guys do have another pit stop coming up before the end of this race. And I tell you what, Thomas Harmon, he looks like he's doing pretty good on his tires right now and keeping them pretty clean and pretty happy. Not Dr. Feelbads, my friend.
No, definitely not Dr. Feelbads. They are Dr. Feelgoods. Even though they are General tires on this race car, the General certainly has him and that mystery mobile and mystery wagon charge it on a mission once again here tonight. And you mentioned about exploring the space. Of course he is. Look who he has on board on that race car week in and week out. Some of the best in the business. As we go on board now, looking out the nose of Thomas Harmon's Chevrolet. This is working here. It almost looks like Atlanta, you would think. You see the screen grabber, looking at the reference of the race car to how low it is on the racetrack. And he's making it look easy. And I can promise you. The Harvick line, exactly. That is not easy to do at this racetrack. In Gen 4 car territory, I mean, you have to have the patience of a saint on that throttle pedal to remotely get it to even want to stay down there. I don't know how he does it. It looks like that car is fixated to the racetrack. That is just incredible.
Yeah, he's doing a phenomenal job keeping it down there on the bottom. And one thing that I've kind of found interesting, you can see that the pavement gets a little bit lighter underneath that bottom seam where Thomas is running right now. For me, that has generally gotten me loose as a goose. It has gotten me crazy sideways. Thomas is doing a great job with his throttle control to not let that happen, and he's really taking advantage of being able to use that bottom line.
And that's one thing he's probably thankful, especially in these broadcasts, that we don't have the ability to actually show the driver's telemetry, the inputs.
Oh, yeah, we can.
Oh, we can. Oh, even better. Technology and
kind of F1 style. It shows 7 gears or 8 gears, but
that's why. Okay, thank you so much for that.
We can't really see what his input is, but we can see his speed.
Getting back to the point, though, I mean, that's a heck of a skill set he has, or the secret sauce, if you will, to how to really maximize your throttle and brake control here to be able to make that car stick and be that fast, with this much horsepower and torque. That's incredible to watch him do that each and every lap. It's almost jaw-dropping as he continues to lead here in South Florida. The final stop tonight for the 10th anniversary season, the Dynasty Racing League. Harrison Chandler got his welcoming got his welcome into the series early in this one, as he had some big time contact there with JP in the 74. Not of his own doing, just right place at the wrong time on the racetrack.
Yeah, just nowhere to go as that 74 came off the top side. Like he said, he had put a comment in our YouTube chat saying he was committed. He should have went high, but he was committed. There was nowhere to go, and obviously that it's a tough way to start your tenure here with the Dynasty Racing League, and it's definitely tough for the 74. But that car is looking pretty good. He got all 15 minutes of repairs done on it. Somehow it was able to keep on trucking after being upside down and barrel rolling down the back straightaway. We'll go ahead and give you guys a quick replay of that if you're just tuning in. It was our only caution here of the race. James Pandolf got up into the wall in the middle of the corner. Was coming up off of the wall, got onto the seam, got sideways, overcorrects, and nowhere for that 4 machine to go. Turns the 74 up and over multiple times, reminiscent of multiple Talladega crashes we've seen.
Yeah, what started off as a little brush with the wall ended in an aerial stunt assault show here at Miami Homestead. And Harrison Chandler, just had nowhere to go. But I mean, he set the 74 for a wicked ride. And if you want to talk about how violent that collision was, even after the repairs, that number 4 of Harrison Chandler, the front of that race car, looks more like a 3rd-gen Jetta than a 4th-gen NASCAR Winston Cup race car. I mean, that's how much force he hit that 74 Chevrolet with when they did make contact. Getting back to the racing action.
Coming in to get some repairs done. JP's car is looking pretty amazing right now, but we've got a battle setting up for 3rd place right now. PJ O'Leary has been slowly but surely just dogging this 45. Brandon Brorby, 0.3 of a second now. It was up over a second a while ago. Now it's up to about half a second as Brandon's trying a different line here in turns 1 and 2. A little bit loose on that seam there as he comes up off turn number 2, and that's going to allow PJ to get within 0.3. It's the first time we've seen that all stint long. And Jacob Gladulich, the Drift King, lap down car. He's looking to play spoiler in this as well, as he's got fresher tires than everybody else on the racetrack. Look at how that 14 is just cutting through the field on those fresh tires.
Yeah, that's the difference of fresh tires, fresh generals here on this race car. It just looks like it's on a different class of his own. I mean, just able to just put the car goes wherever he wants it on the racetrack, is able to have such more, carry so much more speed through the corner.
Oh, here comes PJ. Thought about looking to the inside. Brorby dives down a little bit. Maybe tried to cover a little bit. And now here comes PJ O'Leary down to the inside for 3rd place. He's going to have him clear right now. But is that top side going to be enough for Brandon Brorby to stay with him? No, not quite. Put PJ O'Leary up into 3rd place. He's up 2 spots from where he started. Brandon Brorby back to where he started in 4th. As Matt Sisler is elected to come into the pits now on lap number 60. Is he potentially looking at a split here with the last 73 laps?
I can almost guarantee you that's Matt Sisler. That's Matt Sisler Logic 101. I've had the pleasure of spending many races in his Discord with him, and just picking his brain and just growing a relationship with him. That's probably exactly what he's doing, and that recipe, that formula tends to work out very well for the driver of that 93 machine. But all eyes continue to chase Scooby-Doo and company and Thomas the Hammer Harmon here from South Florida in prime time. Once again, the final stop of the season for the 10th anniversary season. Thomas the Hammer Harmon has already won the championship, but some might say an even better prize he's racing for tonight. If he wins, he becomes the all-time winningest driver in the series. What a way to end the season, not only with the championship and that title as well. I mean, Thomas the Hammer Harmon probably wants that just as bad as he wants the championship, if you ask me.
Well, we know that Thomas has talked to Wade and tried to get her to come back. Maybe next season we'll be able to see Wade out here, especially if they do the Friday night series. Potentially that'll work better for his schedule. I don't know what the situation is or what his prior engagements are, but obviously Thomas Harmon sitting here tied with Wade Hustad for the all-time wins lead in the Dynasty Racing League. 43 wins over the course of 10 years is pretty incredible.
That's just like it in any sanctioned, version in racing body. I mean, that 43 wins. I mean, you're getting up there with the elites in any class, any division. As the 8 of TBV is going to go ahead and punch his ticket and move around, get another spot there on the racetrack.
We've missed a lot while we were hyping up Thomas Harmon. A lot of guys have come into the pits. Now Thomas Harmon comes in. PJ O'Leary from second place. Richard Springer staying out. He's going to try to lead this lap. Jacob Glodulich, obviously, he made the pit stop early on. Taylor Butcher Benjamin and Brandon Burby have also made the pit stop. And we saw Matt Sisser when he came in. Richard Springer, the only driver out on the racetrack to not make a pit stop. He slapped the wall just a little bit there. Not going to be... Well, I was going to say not good, but it worked for AJ Allmendinger in the Xfinity race today with a little bit of right rear damage. We're going to go ahead keep an eye on this as Thomas Harmon now comes out of the pits. Jacob Glodulich has undercut him. He's going to go ahead and get a couple of seconds out in front of him. And another quick update. Harrison Chandler jumped up in the chat once again. Says, well, motor just blew. Ran 17 laps with my temps being the same, and the thing just goes. So a tough way for Harrison's race to end. We'll see if we can maybe talk with Harrison. Yeah, we'll see if we can get him up into the broadcast booth. Hey, Harrison, it's Liam and Matt up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, man, we obviously we saw the way that your race ended. It wasn't the way that you wanted it to go, but you had bad fast speed in practice and qualifying. Kind of walk us through your first 20 laps before the incident.
Well, started second, by far my best qualifying effort in this league, and I thought maybe I can finally lead a lap in I've done what, like 20 starts in this league? Maybe I can finally lead a lap in it. And I don't know, they just were able to I don't know, they were able to completely push it without any issue. I'm not very experienced with these cars yet. I've only ran like one other full-length race and probably a few practice sessions, so I was kind of inexperienced coming in. Guess I should have focused on the long runs, something that usually, ironically, I do, but it's the opposite, and of course. So, anyways, I was...
Harrison, Matt up here in the booth. Did I hear that correctly? You said you have very little experience in this Gen 4 car?
Yeah, pretty much. Not, I did one like 80 lap race or something in another league here in these cars at like Michigan. Other than that, I've never really ran these, and
we have a lot of girds. Let me tell you that now. I mean, I ran one race with these guys out there on the racetrack earlier this year. I can promise you one thing. At the end of next season, you will have everything you need to know in a book written by these guys as they help you over the course of the year. They will take you to school. They will take you to the bank some nights. But if you want to learn the Gen 4 car, you pick the best group of individuals to be with out on the racetrack each week, in and out. I can promise you that, brother. Thanks for being up in the booth here tonight. Appreciate you joining for the final race here from Homestead. Didn't end how you wanted, but hey, at least you got that start, right? And then obviously get some practice here. Talk to some of the guys and start to prep for the upcoming season, as the turnaround is relevantly short.
Yeah, I meant to do more of this season, but year went a lot faster than I expected. One thing after another, and then I realized, oh crap, this is the final race. So I made sure to get in it. And
I get it. Life happens, things change, and before you know it, you think you got all kinds of time, and you look up, and then you realize the last race of the season is upon you. But big props to you for jumping in here and having what it takes, the guts to put it on the racetrack with these guys. So I look forward to watching you here in the upcoming season. Harrison, thanks so much for jumping up in the booth with us. He's the driver of the number 4 Autism Awareness Chevrolet, making his first appearance here tonight in the Dynasty Racing League Series, Pro Series.
Yep, appreciate it.
Appreciate your time, man.
Really, sorry about that glitch there. We were looking at the car there, didn't want to change, but now we got Thomas Harmon in second place, Taylor Butcher Benjamin. We definitely appreciate Harrison joining us up here in the booth. Tough way to make your season debut, to go out 20 laps into it, especially in a league that doesn't see very many cautions. So, not the way he wanted to start his tenure this season and finish it out. But tell you what, looking at him next season, we saw how fast he was at practice. We saw how well he qualified. He might be able to notch himself a win or two in the next season.
I was going to say, that just made his qualifying effort that much more impressive. My jaw was hanging wide open as he said he barely had any experience in this race car at all. But Taylor Butcher Benjamin now, biggest mover of the race. The number 8 machine is number 1 on the scoring pylon. Everyone chasing him here in southern Florida, south of Miami. We're in Homestead, just about the southernmost point of a peninsula. You go any further south, you're in the Keys. So believe me, that Bud crew, they are shaking and baking right now here in the deep south in Florida. As you see the 74 James Pandolf right in front of him, he's going to move to the top side, give way to the 8. As we spoke with JP earlier, we know he'd give anything to have that half a lap back, or a quarter of a lap, I should say, out there on the racetrack back, as it just went tragic for him, quick, fast, and in a hurry. But that's what these guys do. That's the difference. Even though they wrecked out, they might not get the finish they want. They stay in the race. They get that seat time. They understand how important it is to be out there on the racetrack logging laps with their competitors. And that's what it takes if you want to come out here and realistically compete with this group of competitors next season. As we watch Taylor Butcher Benjamin almost running the same line there through the corners as we watched the 68 earlier on in the run. Perhaps he was doing some homework, watching what Thomas Harmon was doing there, see if he can replicate it. And so far, it looks like he's having some success being able to make that Bud number 8 stick on the bottom as well.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like that 8 is fast, but Thomas Harmon is chasing him down within a second. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, pay some bills, and be back before this battle for the lead gets more intense. We'll be right back with you. Back live here, and Thomas Harmon has closed the gap. He's 2 car lengths back and is still able to harvick this corner here, coming up out of turn number 4. He is right on that white line and getting within 2 car lengths here of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, as the scoring's getting a little bit glitched there. But yeah, you can see just how close Harmon is, within a 10th and a half now. He's getting down to the bottom side. TBB goes up top, coming out of turn number 2.
Oh, how many times have we seen this earlier on in the season? Are we poised to have one more installment of the 8 versus 68 trilogy, the saga, the drama that has captivated storylines throughout the course of the season? Taylor Butcher Benjamin has the lead. The hammer's coming, and he wants it.
All we're missing is Austin Collins here, and we've got our top 3 championship drivers. Thomas Harmon, so good coming up off of the corner. Oh, Taylor gets loose. Thomas gets into the back of him. There's nothing he can do to keep off of him, but Taylor gets into the wall down the back straightaway, and that's going to put Thomas Harmon in the lead by a hefty margin.
Yeah, he punches the can opener to engage and pops the back of the born-on-date Budweiser 8.
Little bit of right rear damage there, but it doesn't look to be too bad on the right side. We saw how AJ Allmendinger's car was helped by a little bit of right rear damage. Maybe that 8 car can take the same advantage as the Xfinity car did here today. Not here today, but at Nashville today. Thomas Harmon, though, is your race leader by half a second. PJ O'Leary, or rather Matt Sisler here getting around the 14. PJ O'Leary was able to get around him a little bit earlier. Brandon Brarby in 3rd, about 2.5 seconds ahead of PJ O'Leary. But Thomas Harmon out front here as we approach 45 laps to go here on the 2023 Season A, we'll call it. Season number 3 for the Dynasty Racing League Pro Series, their 10th anniversary, and like JP had mentioned earlier on, you can find them on Facebook, Dynasty Racing League. They've got a website. I believe he said it was dynastyRacingLeague.com. Otherwise, you can just search Dynasty Racing League Pro Series on iRacing and join the league that way.
Well, we haven't seen that approach very often here over the course of the 68 versus 8 battle. I mean, he just went up there and just nerfed him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Let's take another look at that, as Harmon's able to get out to about a second right now. Let's take another look. Taylor's looking at the wrong thing, potentially.
I couldn't tell in real time maybe if this was just a difference in closing speed there. Maybe, the 8 really backed up the corner. But replay here will give us all the details we need.
It was, we'll back it up just a touch here. It was almost reminiscent of Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin at Kansas earlier this year. These guys are racing. They're giving each other space here. We'll go slow as we get to it. Jump back to that blimp view because that was a really good view of it. We're going to see the 8 car slide up off of the bottom. He's going to get up next to the wall, get a little bit loose and correct it. Come down in front of the 68. And when he does that, there's just nothing for Thomas to do. He's already sideways there. He comes down, and that discrepancy in speed just puts Harmon underneath the 8. It's easy to look at it in slow motion and say, oh, he could have done something, but we were watching that in real time. Harmon obviously goes all the way to the bottom, trying to give as much space as necessary. He doesn't know how much the 8 car is going to need.
The minute you lose your trajectory there through the corner and you scrub speed sliding up the racetrack, you are losing momentum. At the speeds these drivers are running, the minute he starts, as Liam said, correct the car to bring it back down, again, you're breaking the trajectory of the race car. Now the 68 has a speed advantage, just does not have any time to react. The way these front bumpers and the rear of this race car line up, you see at the beginning of this race what can happen. What a save. What a job by both these drivers keeping their cars in one piece out there on the racetrack. Nothing Thomas Harmon could have done there, as that's just hard racing out there on the racetrack. A very good byproduct, if you ask me, of what this racetrack here has brought to everyone, including the fans over the years from Homestead-Miami Speedway, is now working lap 92 of scheduled 133 lap distance here tonight. One more final time to close out the 10th anniversary season. Their maiden voyage right here with us on SRM. We couldn't be happier to have them renew with us and come back for more, as they're going to be on board with us moving forward in the future as we continue to grow and expand our partnership with JP and Company. Certainly thankful for everything that he has done over the course of this season.
Yeah, by all means, if you guys are pleased with what you see, this is just two of what SRM has to offer in terms of people. We've got a lot of great people behind us here that we work with, that produce shows, that commentate shows. So even if you're not happy with the way that me and Matt are doing it, we've got other people. Go ahead and reach out to us. We'll broadcast your league. We love to do this, and we've got a great group of guys that also loves to do this. But pit stops are starting up here. Matt Sisler is coming in to start the undercut here. Jacob Gladulich has already come in. We saw how the undercut worked out for him. He was able to get out front, lead some laps. Ended up getting passed in the end, but these guys getting close to that last pit stop here. If you're just tuning in, it's definitely been an eventful race here. We've seen a little bit of carnage early on. We've seen some incredible battling for the lead. We'll go ahead and show you guys a replay of the caution flag that happened earlier on today. A wild wreck involving James Pandolf as he got into the wall, loose coming up off of turn 2, and lifted off the ground, barrel rolling down the back straightaway. Gonna go back to live though. Taylor Butcher Benjamin has come into the pits. He's actually starting the leaders down earlier than I expected. Taylor Butcher Benjamin into the pits from second place. Thomas Harmon still holds on to the race lead. We'll see if he responds this time around or how long he's gonna stay out.
Yeah, I think TBB there trying to play a little trickery there, get the mental chess match going perhaps between the 8 and the 68 and the rest of the front runners here. I don't think the 68's going to respond just because of just how good that vehicle is. That car is over the course of the long run here tonight. I mean, we've seen him just work the bottom, and the car doesn't even flinch. It's going to take a little more from Taylor Butcher Benjamin to get the 68 to abort ship on his scheduled plans for this evening as you watch the 45 of Brandon Broby and the 29.
Here comes Harmon.
Harmon, look
Harmon's
at this.
responding.
I'm shocked.
Well,
I didn't
Brandon
expect
Broby
this.
from second and PJ O'Leary from third came into pit. They followed Taylor Butcher Benjamin's lead. Taylor also had a little bit of potential damage there from that wall contact, so it'll be interesting to see how much of that he got repaired or if he got any of it at all. But Thomas Harmon, 2 laps later, that's going to allow TBB about a second or two a lap here to take advantage of. These guys might come up off of the pits right next to each other. As Richard Springer is also into the pits, Thomas Harmon is still your race leader. Where is TBB? Where are these guys going to merge together? TBB didn't really fix much of that right rear damage there. He's kind of hoping for some AJ Allmendinger luck. But here they come, coming up off of turn number 2. Thomas Harmon off of the access road, comes up to speed. TBB is going to get around him. Taylor Butcher Benjamin leads the race here with less than 40 laps to go. Lap number 97 about to be completed. Taylor Butcher Benjamin holds out of the race lead. You see JP coming into the pits. Thomas Harmon, though, on the freshest tires of all. He's going to be on it. He's going to be absolutely blazing fast here, trying to chase down that 8 car. We're going to have about a 35-lap run to the finish to decide it all here on Sim Racing Media.
Yeah, how about that, Mr. Slice and Dice? Taylor Butcher Benjamin gets inside the cockpit of the 68. I think at first Taylor didn't even really blink at it, and then he thought about it, and then came down pit road 2 laps after the 8th. Now that's going to allow them to change positions out there on the racetrack. The 8 goes back to the point, 68 goes back to second, and we are setting up. Remember the last time we were in this position? Little trade and paint when action was served up there on the backstretch, or going into the 3 and 4 complex, I should say. And here we are. We just reloaded this 68 and 8 extravaganza here one more time. And we've been treated to this over the course of the season so many times. These two just putting on epic performances, great battles, And why not close the season out like this as we're now working lap 100. The 8's carrying the torch, but the hammer, you know, wants it, and he will do whatever it takes to be there at the end.
Yeah, we're sitting on board with your champion, Thomas Harmon here, trying to take away that wins record for the all-time wins lead from Wayne Hustad. We're right behind Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and we're seeing just how good Thomas is at keeping that bottom down. We'll listen here coming out of turn number 2. We'll keep it quiet for you guys, but you can, as he makes the move down to the inside here, actually we'll watch this battle for the lead. Thomas Harmon gets down to the inside of Taylor Butcher Benjamin and doesn't even put up a fight, that 8 car. Thomas Harmon is just on rails here tonight. So now, I'll get back to what I was saying. We'll just listen here coming out of turn number 3 or 4, how late he gets on the throttle. I mean, he can see the exit. He can see the straightaway.
And for all intents and purposes, those are brand new tires.
Yes, they are. That's a huge point to bring up, Matt. How long the 68 is staying off of the throttle here in the middle of the corners here and coming on to exit on fresh tires. That just goes to show how hard it is on worn down tires. Right there is where he got back on the throttle. And
That is,
I mean, 100% at least, and that is way later than a driver would think you'd want to go to be fast here. Thomas Harmon out here proving us wrong, showing that sometimes slow and steady wins the race here. Taylor Butcher Benjamin still not too far behind, a couple of tenths. Maybe saving his stuff to try to make a final push here.
well, that was a real veteran move right there, to have the mental presence and the toughness not to be a race car driver there, to play the system and look at the big picture. Get out of the way, let him go. Don't burn your stuff up. And that's exactly what the 8 did there. He didn't let Thomas Harmon lure him into a fight that Thomas Harmon knew he would be the victor on, more than likely, if it went the rest of the way, since he is so good on maintaining those generals over the course of the run. Taylor Butcher Benjamin didn't engage, let him go, and is doing everything he can to conserve his tires for the money time, the right time, and that's coming to the checkered flag. That's when it really matters. Who's ever in position 1 when the checkered flag falls, that's what it's all about. But still, a lot of poise being showed there by Taylor Butcher Benjamin as he understands the bigger picture, the bigger task at hand, as he's working just about a half a second off the back of the 68 of Thomas Harmon.
We were riding on board there. It seems like he's learned a thing or two. He was really late on getting on the throttle there. But it'll be interesting to see what happens when these guys get back up to each other. If it does, Thomas Harmon rocking a couple of tenths, or a couple of hundredths rather, quicker than TBB every time. But let's not forget the contact that happened for the race lead just about 20 laps ago. Taylor gets loose coming up off of turn number 2. Thomas has nowhere to go but into the back of him. These guys racing for their guts, everything here coming up. You could even hear on board with Thomas. He was off the throttle trying to not cause more damage to TBB there, but unfortunately the contact was made. I don't think there was anything malicious, but when you're leading the race, you get put in the wall, you're not necessarily thinking that way. You know,
That's
you're
the
thinking
other
about the
side
fact
of it.
that I got put in the wall by this guy. I don't care if it was on purpose. I just got put in the wall and I'm mad.
Exactly, and that's the other side of this, because everything changes when you're up there competing late in a race. You look at everything differently. If you're up there in the top 5, the top 10, or the back half of the field, I know I do, and a lot of other drivers do too. And I can promise you this, something tells me he's going to remember that if this comes down to another shootout between Harmon and Butcher Benjamin here tonight from South Florida, as we're now working lap 108. We're coming down here to the end, and once again, almost 1 second advantage for Thomas Harmon. Last time by, he was at a 33.97. Taylor Butcher Benjamin just a tick slower at a 34.04, but nonetheless, Harmon still faster out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, and we've got some lap cars coming up in front of these guys. We got Matt Sisler, Richard Springer, just in front of these guys as well. JP, multiple laps down here, sitting in 8th place after that wild flip that we saw on lap number 20. He's, back out onto the racetrack, doing a good job here. Thomas Harmon has extended his lead by about a second. So we have less than 25 laps to go here. Thomas is doing an amazing job of just holding on to that bottom lane. It's incredible, really. I mean, it reminds me of Kevin Harvick in 2018 when he won at Atlanta. He just painted that white line with his left side tires. And while Thomas isn't exactly painting the line, he's definitely going and staying a lot lower than I have previously felt comfortable. I am now going to try what he is doing and more than likely spin myself out, but he's able to get down below that first seam within a couple of feet of that bottom line and just stay there. Coming up off of these corners, he's doing absolutely incredible work. He's being easy on his tires with how late he is getting on the throttle. Absolutely phenomenal job at Thomas Harmon here so far today, as he's got a couple of lap cars just in front of him. One between him and Taylor Butcher-Benjamin, but Taylor is losing time here. It's a second and a half. He might need a caution flag and a chance to get some Dr. Feelgoods on that car if he wants to try to win this race and take away the season ender here from Thomas Harmon. Matt Sisler's into the pits.
Now going back to the pits, the 93 machine. There he is for one more time tonight from Oakland, Michigan. Matt Sisler in that Everham Dodge, leading the charge for all the Mopar fans throughout the iRacing community, myself included. Man, I can't get over still the amount of damage on that 4-car from that blistering hit to JP earlier on in this race.
And an amazing job for that team to get that car back out here. We talked to him before. He said the motor blew completely. And, a motor blown is at least 30 minutes of required repairs. So amazing job for that team to get the car back out onto the racetrack, but also amazing dedication out of that driver to be able to get back out here and say, hey, I don't really have much to gain, but I can still learn how this car handles. I can still learn how it's going to deal with the damage. I can still get out here and learn. We talked about how little experience he has, and Matt, how impressed you were with how fast he qualified.
It's a great
doing a pretty
point.
good job. And, it sucks to be 60-plus laps down, but Harrison Chandler has nothing to hang his head about today. Super
It's
fast
the
at the
little
beginning
things
and
that
just couldn't get around that crash. Sorry, Matt, I keep rambling.
Not a problem, man. It's the little things that you do that matter the most. And believe me, these drivers right now are taking notice that Harrison Chandler just didn't take it to the garage and plop his tushy down at the turn 1 snack bar. No, he's still in that race car, out there turning laps, getting experience. And that move that he made right there is certainly worth every bit of effort that he has put into this race car, because I promise you, Harmon, Butcher, Benjamin, and others are going to remember that moving into next season. It's the little things you do in these racetracks, in these series, that separate the best from the rest. Harrison Chandler, off to a good start, definitely made the right decision there, and I bet you these drivers have that much more respect for him at the start of next season if he would have, pulled a young Kyle Busch move, if you will.
Yeah, of course. You remember when Kyle Busch and Dale Jr. crashed in Texas, I believe, in 2007. And we got the infamous call from Mike Joy. The 5-car is back out on track. The driver is Dale Earnhardt Jr. That was, that was a special moment. Maybe even Dale Jr.'s Hendrick audition. But, the first time we got to see Dale Jr. in a Hendrick car there. But I tell you what, we could sit here and talk about old stories and relate old stories to what we're seeing now. This dominance out of Thomas Harmon, you could relate that to a lot of dominant performances over the course of the last 20 years in NASCAR. I mean, this has been an amazing season for Thomas. He's coming out here trying to take away the wins record try to hold on to it by his lonesome, as we've got a battle here for the top 5. Richard Springer down to the inside of DK. Jacob Gladulich, he's going to go ahead and take that spot away for 5th place over DK. But
These two right here, the 21 and the 14, they've spent a lot of time battling each other out throughout the course of this season as well. They put on some dynamite performances, these two.
DK's not giving it up either. He's sitting here getting loose coming up off of turn number 2, trying to chase that 21 back down. You see Thomas Harmon just behind these guys, and neither one of these guys want to go a lap down. They're trying to stay out front for these last 15 or so laps that we've got here. 16 to go. Going to be 15 at the line.
I'll tell you, man, Springer is vibing right now. Richard Springer, when he gets sprung on the top side like that right now, I mean, we've seen that car really have some great performances, and he's looking like he's getting good in the neighborhood of South Florida right now. He's loving life. I can tell you just how he's driving that race car. That's what Richard Springer really enjoys. That's his MO. Just let that car rock out on the top side and just hold on, baby, and let's just put the pedal to the metal coming off the corners. That 21 Valvoline car has been exciting at times to watch this season, and it's always been on the high side of the racetrack. Richard Springer having a great season here again. You know, solid performances week in and week out. Never gives up. He's always up on the wheel, and he doesn't really back down from anybody. Neither does the Drift King as well, like you mentioned in that 14 Tony Stewart throwback paint scheme, who's currently sitting there in 6th. But Richard Springer and Drift King, these guys right here spent a lot of time racing together. This, of course, going on just ahead of your leader, Thomas Harmon. Last time by ran a... Go ahead, bud.
Just a quick update here from Matt Sisler. He's got... there's no major issues with the Dodge. They didn't have a whole heck of a lot of speed. The team told him to retire the car. He's not totally sure how these guys are able to get more speed out of the corners than he is. It might have been down a cylinder potentially, but Matt Sisler did not have the day that he wanted. And Matt, if you'd like to talk about your season over the course of the next 5 or so laps, go ahead and jump in the chat. We'll bring you in here, but
Absolutely.
We're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. 12 laps to go, and sounds like some wall contact just in front of Thomas Harmon. DK got up into the wall going through turns 1 and 2. Coming up off of 2, though, he's going to be right in front of and now right next to Thomas Harmon, your race leader.
Thomas Harmon's going to get by the 14 as he went up there and just showed some love to the outside wall here. Little respect out of the 14 machine there as he works just in back of your current race leader. Your current champion, locked it up before the green flag even dropped here tonight. That's how bad. I mean, he was scary good. I'm gonna quote Rick Jenneret here. Tony Trapasso knows exactly who I'm talking about. I mean, he was scary good this season. That 68 machine just absolutely on fire. Winning everything you could possibly win at times throughout the course of this season. But,
Well,
even the greatest...
this season, I think we went almost 8 to 10 races, and we only had 2 winners. Austin Collins got the first 2. Thomas Harmon got almost all the rest of them. Austin jumped in for another one here and there, but Thomas started, I think, with 6 wins in the first 10 races of this season. He has been absolutely on rails, on a mission all season, and with less than 10 laps to go, he's been on fire all day.
And even the best of the drivers, we all go through adversity, and he certainly had some things that he was dealing with personally here over the past month and a half. And you've seen his performance on the racetrack was affected, and you could hear it that in his interviews he wasn't quite 100% himself. Last week, I'll tell you what, he was back in action. He had that charisma, he had the swagger back in his voice, and he had that dominance, that assertiveness when we asked him what's going to happen in Miami, and he's backing it up once again. You do not want to be in a series going up against Thomas Harmon when he is just confident and he is locked and focused, because he is darn near impossible to beat He's like the Terminator of the Gen 4.
Look at him right now. He's getting so close to that bottom white line. He's doing the Harvick line here as we sit on board with the chopper here. Going down the back straightaway. Thomas Harmon has just, he's been incredible all season. We can talk about it left and right. But I also want to bring up Taylor Butcher Benjamin. He sits in second place. How many times he sat on the other end of a Thomas Harmon battle? But how many times have we seen him go out there and take the fight to Thomas? We talk about how Thomas is virtually unbeatable. Taylor Butcher Benjamin is a guy who's gone out there. He's gotten the job done. And, I mean, I don't really want to say anybody's unbeatable, especially when we're trying to help these guys recruit. But Taylor Butcher Benjamin is absolutely a perfect example of you can never count anybody out, you know? Thomas Harmon, Austin Collins, they were the story of the year throughout the first 10 or so weeks. Taylor hit the fire. He hit the afterburner, as you like to say, later on in the midpoint of the season, and he became one of these drivers fighting for the championship. Wasn't able to get it done here as Thomas Harmon is obviously our champion already, but Taylor Butcher Benjamin doing a great job. He's an incredibly talented driver. I don't mean to say that he's, you know, an underdog by any stretch of the means, but, you know, we've seen guys like Taylor get out there, win races. Brandon Burby has also been incredibly fast. PJ O'Leary, he's turned up the fire this last 5 or so weeks. He has just been absolutely incredible. And we've got a lot of talent throughout this field, and you know, Thomas Harmon is our champion this year, and that is definitely something to be awarded and commended. But so many amazing drivers have joined us. There are some that aren't here. Austin Collins was racing for the championship. Dave Acacia is a guy that, you know, drove the DeWalt 17.
Yeah, that's another name we really didn't get a chance to talk much about tonight. AC, Mr. Cool, Austin Collins in that one car. He was a big part of the big storylines, along with the 68 and the 8. Started off the season and just basically stole their lunch money from the kids on the last lap of the first 2 seasons of the race. Stuffed them in the locker. I mean, he went up there and stole 2 back-to-back on the final lap.
Yeah, that's right. 2 last lap passes at Daytona and Rockingham.
Yeah, I mean, it was deja vu. Lightning strikes again, and he did it back-to-back. And then Thomas Harmon goes on his tear. And then I want to bring it back to Taylor Butcher Benjamin. You know, when I said Thomas Harmon darn near impossible to beat, and he is when he's firing on all those modes, but Taylor Butcher Benjamin, one heck of a race car driver. How many times did we see Thomas Harmon go up there and just break his heart in prime time, getting by him on the last lap, pit stop has gone wrong, whatever. And then about halfway through the season, you hit on it. He was able to go up there. They reversed the roles. The tides had changed. And Taylor Butcher Benjamin went out there and took it from Thomas Harmon. And after he was able to do that, that really was a great equalizer, I think, in the battles between the 8 and the 68 moving forward. You know, and
Thomas Harmon has just taken 2 laps to go. He's got about a lap and a half before he takes away the win record. Right now we're watching the battle for 3rd place as PJ is trying to chase down Brandon Burby. Doesn't look like there's going to be enough time for him. But Thomas Harmon, I tell you what, man, he has had an incredible season as he looks to lap Richard Springer here. He's 7 seconds out in front of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, now 8 seconds out front for the race lead. Thomas has thrown together so many incredible races. He is obviously a well-deserving champion as he's already taken that crown. But he's going to have to come across this checkered flag before he officially gets it. Thomas Harmon, though, through turns 3 and 4, incredible season for that Cartoon Network Scooby-Doo machine. A championship-worthy performance. He's going to come up off of turn number 4 and not only take the championship trophy, but the all-time wins record in Dynasty Racing League history. 44th win for Thomas Harmon, and it couldn't have come at a better place, a better time, as he is our champion here for the Dynasty Racing League. 2nd place, Taylor Butcher Benjamin comes across the line. Brandon Burby was able to keep PJ behind him. PJ might have had himself a little bit of trouble on that last lap, trying to chase down Brandon Burby. Richard Springer rounds out the top 5. Jacob Glodgelich, Matt Sisler, and then James Pandolf and Harrison Chandler, both drivers involved in a very hefty crash at the beginning of the race. Both drivers able to get back out onto the racetrack and complete the final laps for the Dynasty Racing League 2023 season A.
Yeah, Harrison Chandler, I see you, man. Great on you for sticking with it. That's what it takes. But the nighttime is the right time for Thomas Harmon to go prime time. It's a twofer, baby. He's got the championship, and he's got the biggest whooping stick in the series as he owns the all-time win. He dominates now and owns the sole winningest driver in the series as he burns down the house here. Look at him getting a little drift action going on there. It's not easy to keep that car controlled and burn the tires at the same time. It actually takes some practice, and he gets a lot of it. He wins a lot. Scooby-Doo and company just put together an incredible...
Oh, and he hits Taylor there. We're going to go ahead and bring Thomas up in here. Thomas, I tell you what, man, he got the checkered flag. You are our all-time Dynasty Racing League wins leader officially. And you are the champion of the first part of the 2023 Dynasty Racing League year. How does it feel, man?
Feels pretty good. I really didn't, to be honest, I didn't care about getting the win total tonight, but I'm not going to argue with it at all. I just didn't let it affect me, and it wasn't a goal coming in. I wanted to finish strong. We finished strong. Took the last 2 races, and look forward to continuing.
Well, you had yourself a fantastic battle with Taylor. Obviously, a little bit of contact. Not much you could have done there. But did you have any sort of worries that if he got back to you, there might have been something to be done?
I would have expected him to race me hard. But, I mean, it's to be expected when you're fighting for the lead anyway. But I told him on the radio as soon as it happened, I lifted for him. I didn't mean to get into him, and he knew he got loose, and there wasn't much that I could have done there. So I don't think there would have been any bad blood from that. And there's something blue behind me, but I don't know if you guys heard that or not.
Yeah, a little bit of a boom there. It's potentially celebrating. We'll call it
and somebody else is, thankfully.
Hopefully it's
That's what it's all about.
But yeah, Thomas, you are the champion. I know Matt has a couple of questions for you, but incredible drive here today.
You know, when you started this season off way back, it seems like forever and a day ago, did you think you'd be sitting here in Homestead-Miami, not only the series champion, but the all-time winningest man in the Dynasty Racing Pro League Series as well in the same night?
No, I did not actually. When the season started, I just came in expecting to get a couple wins here and there, and hopefully be around at the end for the championship. But with that run I had at the start of the season, I was like, well, I wonder how many I have. And then I noticed how close I was, so it kind of became all right, let's see if we can do it. And thankfully we did it.
You certainly did. I mean, that's an understatement. I mean, what you did, you know, throughout the course of the season, especially, you know, my time, you know, having the privilege to be up here in the booth each and every week, and not only watching you grace us with your performance, everyone else week in and week out was just unbelievable, you know, in my opinion. I mean, everyone now and then can go out there and just have a dominant performance and just make the field look like at times they should have just kept it on the hauler. But you just have this ability to go out there and squeeze performance and longevity out of this car that really no one else can at times. How are you able to find that extra drive, that extra speed, and carry it longer and get more out of your car's performance than, you know, some of the best in the Gen 4 cars that you share this racetrack with each and every week? How are you able to do that consistently?
Honestly, I think it's just being patient and not letting the moment get to you. There are times that we'd be fighting for a position or whatever, and you just can't find yourself pushing it when you want to and you feel the need to. Sometimes pans out better in the long run to just be patient, take your time, and work your way through.
Yeah, well said, Thomas. And believe me, from everyone here at SRM, congratulations on the championship and being the #1 winningest man in the series. Who do you want to thank who helps you get it done for the final time as you close out the 10th anniversary?
Well, definitely the fans that show up each week, all the fans that show up to my stream as well and supported me throughout the year. All the other drivers that showed up, put on a good show throughout most of the year, and you guys up in the booth and JP for putting on the league.
Awesome stuff, Thomas. We appreciate you joining us. Congratulations once again on your championship. Go ahead and send you back here, but congratulations, and we'll be seeing you next season.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Go ahead and get our second place driver, TBB. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, man, I tell you what, you had a lot of speed behind the wheel of that 8 car, but just wasn't meant to be here tonight. Walk us through your day. I mean, you took the lead, you raced for the lead, you had a little bit of contact coming out of turn number 2. But you still were able to pull off that undercut and retake the lead. Incredible day for you. Just kind of talk to us about it.
Yeah, well, it kind of started with my mediocre qualifying run, but was able to fight up to like 3rd or so, or 2nd, and then before the caution came out, and just thought the whole time, like, I know Thomas was pretty fast on the long run anyway, but figured the only chance I get by him is to undercut him, which done a couple of times this season with more success than tonight, but figured I'd try it because given the whole point situation, I knew the only thing that really mattered tonight was to try to win the race. So definitely did all I could to try to win the race. I mean, just made that one mistake off of turn 2, got a little sideways, and he was close enough to get in the back of me, which wasn't his fault. I probably should have just let him go, but then after, I mean, I only had like 28 seconds of optional, but car just started driving like extra darty, and well, not to mention them. I haven't seen the damage yet, but I'm sure it's not looking too great aero wise. But I mean, Thomas was definitely the car to beat tonight and definitely all season long. So he definitely deserved this championship. So shout out to him. And of course, I think he, if I'm not mistaken, broke the record for most wins in Dynasty Racing League history. So that's pretty neat.
Sir, and he had an incredible season, but we do want to talk to you a little bit about yours as well. You kind of started off maybe not on the same level as Thomas and Austin did, but you came away through the middle part of the season. You started clicking off wins. You started winning the battles between Thomas. Kind of walk us, I mean, talk to us about your season. We know you won Indy in a close battle, not with Thomas, but with Austin. And, you know, you've gotten some big wins throughout the course of the year, but walk us through your year. It's been incredible to watch you get the job done.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 5 wins is nothing to hang my head about, that's for sure. I mean, and to do it on various different kinds of tracks like Martinsville and Pocono and Chicagoland and New Hampshire. So, I mean, to do it on various different types of racetracks, and before the past couple of seasons, seems like the only places I really could win was like on super speedways like Daytona and Talladega and the new Atlanta. I remember last year winning there, but I feel like I took a big step forward on my abilities, and hopefully we'll try to carry that into the future.
Taylor, we're looking forward to seeing what you can do. An amazing season, 5 wins. Call it a breakout season for Taylor Butcher Benjamin. But before we let you go, who do you want to thank? Who helps you get it done here on this service and, you know, on your team?
And if I want to say hi to DRL folks, Richard had a solid top 5 tonight. Of course, James, with what he does with running the league and already announcing the plans for next season. And of course, you guys for broadcasting the league for as long as you guys have been doing it, which is however many races it's been, like 20 some races. So, of course, can't say enough for you guys too. So, much appreciated.
Awesome stuff, Taylor. It's been amazing to watch you get the job done all season, and we're looking forward to seeing you again next season here in the Dynasty Racing League.
Yep, thank you guys.
Well, now we got third place, Brandon Brurby. Go ahead, bring him up in here. Matt, you got Brandon? Uh-oh. Matt does not have Brandon. Brandon, it's Liam up at the booth. You got a copy.
Yep, I got you loud and clear.
Well, you came away with the third place, and at times it seemed like you were going to be able to race for the lead there with the undercut you pulled. Walk us through your day and just how fast that Milwaukee Tool Chevy was.
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty good car today. With these kinds of tracks, especially the transition races, it's really all just about finding where the speed is. And honestly, usually at this track, I'll usually run high, like right up against the wall. But in these cars, I guess it's there's a little bit more speed there on the bottom, so that's kind of where I transition to throughout the race. Yeah, but I mean, other than that, I was just trying to keep up with the top two, which on the long run was pretty tough to do, and then towards the end there it was more just trying to stay in the top three. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it's a tricky track, lots of different lines to take, opportunities. It's just finding out which one's which one will be the most beneficial in the long run.
Definitely had a good long run car here, able to take away third place. You had some hefty battles though with PJ. Kind of talk to us about that.
Yeah, PJ is a heck of a driver. I'm glad he signed up with us. He's real fun to race with. I have a lot of respect for him. But yeah, I mean, it's just another one of those things where I would try to pull away on the short run, and he'd eventually catch up to me on the long run, and then especially at the end there is kind of fun. I was like, one lap I would slip up a bit, and he would gain a few tenths, and then like the next lap I think he would slip up a little bit, and then I'd gain a couple tenths, and it's kind of turned into a fun battle there at the end.
Definitely a lot of fun to watch. We tried to keep our eyes on it in the last couple of laps, but you came home third, and you've had an incredible season. Who do you want to thank for such a strong run today and all season? I mean, the team, anybody who helps you get it done. Who do you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, well, first I wanted to congratulate Thomas. He's had a heck of a season and a really fast car. It's been fun to watch him pull away on the track, but frustrating at the same time. Ever since I signed back up with the league, I've just been trying to figure out how the heck does he keep this speed throughout his entire run. But yeah, no, he's definitely deserves it. He's a heck of a driver. I also wanted to thank JP for giving us something to do every Saturday night. He's a great teammate, a great league owner, and I'm glad to be a part of it. I also want to thank you guys for putting on a broadcast. The broadcast, it's always you guys do a really good job, and it's always fun to go back and watch the races. I also want to thank everybody for coming out every Saturday night. Kind of thinned out there at the end, but it's fun having these full fields to race with. And also just wanted to thank everybody tuning in for all the support.
Awesome stuff, Brandon. Can't thank you enough for joining us here. An incredible drive today, all season. I'll be looking forward to seeing you next season.
Thank you.
Well, that's going to just about do it for us here. We'll talk with JP in a moment, go through the finishing results. Thomas Harmon beats Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Brandon Burby, PJ O'Leary, and Richard Springer rounds out the top 5. Great run for Richard here, getting the top 5. Jacob Gladulich, Matt Sisser, James Pandolf, and Harrison Chandler round out the field. Gonna go ahead and bring in JP, our league owner, executive vice president, CEO. I don't know the title for the league, but JP, incredible season you guys have had. You've obviously dropped in in the Discord chat that you're moving forward with 2 different series for next season: a Friday night ARCA series and a Saturday night Gen 4 series. That's incredible news, and I'm super excited for moving forward with that. But kind of walk with us through your season as a driver, and well, it's the 10th anniversary of Dynasty Racing League.
Yeah, it was one heck of a season. Everyone did a phenomenal job. I don't have the exact statistic right now, but I think our average caution per race for the season is like under 2. Everyone was very clean, very respectful, a lot of hard racing that we can rewatch over and over again on Sim Racing Media. And congrats to Thomas Harmon for the championship. He had one heck of a battle with Taylor Butcher Benjamin all season long, and looking forward to seeing if he can sweep the year for the second part of the season coming up July 8th.
You mentioned July 8th is when the Premier Series, when the Premier Series starts up again, but you've also got an ARCA series starting up. What are you anticipating for that?
I'm gonna, for the first season, see how many people will join us, try to maybe incorporate it as like a feeder season, being the ARCA car and the Gen 4 car is similar. The only difference is the lower horsepower for the ARCA car, so it'll be a little bit easier to drive, I want to say, and hopefully get some people into Dynasty Racing League, get some experience with the ARCA car, and if they want to, eventually join us with the Gen 4.
Well, James, we can't thank you enough for allowing us to call your amazing races all season. Before we let you go, are there any sponsors or guys who help you get it done? You know, any shout outs that you want to give out? You know, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just thank you to everyone that competes. Without the drivers, Dynasty Racing League wouldn't be a thing. Thank you to you and Matt for broadcasting this year and the couple stand-ins when one of you were absent. Appreciate all of you guys at Sim Racing Media to put on a fantastic broadcast. And thank you to everyone who watches. And hopefully, if you guys are interested, sign up on our website and we'll get you a car number and get you ready for the second season.
Once again, that website is www.dynastyracingleague.com.
It is, and you can also find us on Facebook and in iRacing itself. Look up Dynasty Racing League in the league directory.
Stuff, James. It's been an incredible season. I can't thank you enough for joining us here after the race, sticking around. Incredible drive for you today, up until the contact there. But props to you for sticking it out, finishing out this season under your own power. And yeah, once again, can't thank you enough.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that happened to me, and I feel bad again for ruining Harrison Chandler's night. But I was able to lead 13 laps. I maybe could have done more if I didn't overcorrect there around lap 22. But we'll get him next year, or next season, I should say.
Awesome stuff. We're looking forward to seeing you out on the racetrack. Thanks again for joining us, James.
Absolutely, my pleasure, and thank you again for the broadcast. Looking forward to watching it after it ends.
That's going to about do it for us here on Sim Racing Media. We'll go through the results again. Thomas Harmon, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Brandon Burby, PJ O'Leary, Richard Springer, Jacob Gladulich, Matt Sisler, James Pandolf, and Harrison Chandler rounding out the field. It's been an incredible season here at the Dynasty Racing League. This is their 10th anniversary, and I tell you what, the racing was through and through phenomenal. I mean, from the first week that we started broadcasting this series at Las Vegas, we knew it was going to be good stuff. I mean, they showed up with 18, 19 cars and only had one caution that came out at lap 111. We knew we were in for a good show, and we have been absolutely blessed to be able to call this league. And moving forward into next season, we'll be back with them. So thanks everybody for tuning in here live on Sim Racing Media. For Matt Medler, I'm Liam Irving. We'll catch you guys next time.